What's memos? I'm your host, Mystic Raven. Before we get this party started, I want to take a moment to address an article I didn't even know about because I left prior to this article. For years, I had to fight, and I'm still waging war with ignorance. Oh my gosh. 9/26 of 2019. ZeniMax Online Studio gameplay lead Rob Garrett shares his team's philosophy and vision for both class identity and combat in the Elder Scrolls. Class identity has long been an important topic, especially in recent months on the ESO forums, in social channels, and on the dev team. This loaded term can mean different things to different people, and we all can agree it's an important element in creating a satisfying combat experience. In effort to improve how we communicate our vision for combat in ESO going forward, we thought this would be a good topic to dive into and share our perspective. When our team uses the term class identity, we're referring to what makes the experience of playing a class feel unique from other classes, regardless of what role the character may be fulfilling. We break down that experience into two primary components: power fantasy and play patterns. Okay, so it goes into the power fantasy and then play patterns. Okay. Now you may be asking yourself how non-class skill lines fit into this theoretical world of strong class identities. After all, if class abilities are the embodiment of power fantasy and class kits include all of the basic tools required to fulfill a role, why would you bother with using abilities outside those kits? The team is still exploring this problem space, but our current thinking is that non-class lines should fulfill two primary purposes. First, they should allow you to fill gaps in your build where your class kit doesn't provide the exact behavior you need or are comfortable with. Second, they should open up the possibility space of your character's build, both in terms of power fantasy and play patterns, by mixing and matching from the large pools of available abilities. What we don't want is to create scenarios where, to be effective, you feel obligated to fill a majority of your hotbar slots with non-class abilities. Forfeiting your class identity should be an option, but not a requirement to engage in PvE or PvP content. We acknowledge this is not the current reality for many classes and builds, and it is one of the major areas for improvement we intend to tackle. The team's immediate focus on this front is to look at some of the more significant outliers cases where classes are lacking unique play patterns and overall rely on abilities outside their kit. The aforementioned bound armament change, which, like I said, I wasn't here with that, as well as the update to Warden's growing swarm morph, are a couple recent examples of this effort. Hopefully, we've shed light on how we use the term class identity internally. In summary, we define success as delivering class kits that combine cohesive, satisfying power fantasies with unique and effective play patterns. The end result should be the ability to fill any role with any class while retaining the look and feel of that class. What's our motto here? What's our motto? Any class, any role. This is another MMOs. This is ESO. I've always seen it, and I've had to deal with it time and time again. Yes, there's always room for improvement, especially with kits. But the game was designed. It literally the purpose of this game is to embody the what other Elder Scrolls have been, and that is the ability to be what you want in that class. Whether you want to wield a sword or a staff, whether you want to go ahead and heal or deal damage, whether you want to tank or do something different, you should be able to. You should be able to. So I've had to fight this since the get-go. These are the things that caused me to become a content creator. This is what caused me to become a content creator, was taking a look and saying, you know what, they're not seeing the big picture. This is Elder Scrolls, man. This is like, I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even anticipate becoming a healer initially. I was building a Nightblade. It was going to be a DPS class. I was trying to get out of support play for once. My MMO, experience never happened. And because I was a Magicka class, I noticed the healing capabilities and I went for it. And I loved it. I was like, this is cool. But I had to fight every step of the way. It was painstaking because we had people who did not believe that these other classes could play these other roles. And then I kept getting challenged. You can't do it on a DK. I bet you I can. And that's what we set out to do. You can't do it on oh cool. You can't do it on a sorcerer. Okay, bet. And that's every time, man, we pushed for it. And I had to fight with the diminishing returns because people stacked CP into 100 at the time. I've had so many arguments about so many topics. But, like I said, I've had this experience for a number of years, both, as a regular player and as a tester. And I enjoyed this game the most for its philosophy. Because every other game has this boring approach where, Rift was an exception too. But there's not too many games out there that you can literally fill a role with a class. Like World of Warcraft, you can't do that, right? Final Fantasy, you have jobs and you can play every job, but every job's unique within itself of being, that, a Dark Knight is not a DPS. It can never be a DPS. It's a tank. It will always be a tank. That job will always be a tank. If I want to play healer class, they have healing classes, but there's not the ability to build around what that class is, like ESO. And ESO, given the fact that you can do this and take the skill lines to, fill the gaps, has been one of the most amazing experiences in my MMO. It's been phenomenal. I'm like, I love this game. I love this game for this, but the community doesn't embrace it. A lot of the community does not, they take for granted what they have. They don't appreciate some of the things that they're literally capable of. There is, like I said, you take a Sork tank, make him an off tank. Even if you don't want to use him as a main tank, he can main tank. But if you want to use him as an off tank, you can get 100% uptime on Warhorn with Akaviri Dragon. You can. You definitely can. There's options upon options. Even in my perspective, there's things that I was like, oh, I would never do that. But this is ESO. So who am I to say? I literally can. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to convey. Is you got to appreciate what you have or you'll lose it. And if you lose it, well, why did you lose it? Because You wanted it to be the way you envisioned it instead of the way it was. And that is going to push people away from a beautiful product. Because nobody wants to deal with a community that dictates what you can and can't do. Even when the devs say, yeah, you can do that, well, they say I can't. And people get sick of it and they don't want to play now because you're a tyrant. You're not embracing the possibilities. In my opening video, that's what we go by. Embrace the possibilities. That's what we go by. Embrace the possibilities. So when I saw this article, I thought, wow, what an amazing time for me to bump into this. What an amazing moment that I left in this revolution. You know, this came out when I was fighting the battle. I was fighting it. And the devs released such a statement, right? And then on top of it, I come back recently and I'm still dealing with the toxicity of the community. See, that's what gave birth to Death to the Meta. Because the meta is saying this is the absolutely only way it goes down. Right? There's no exception. There's no other way to do it besides the way we tell you. And I'm not comfortable with that. I don't think people should be if they want to do something different. And I was a trial healer as a DK. That's what I did in the beginning. When I first played this game and I got my first trials, I did it with the DK. I got all my trial achievements on a DK healer. That's what I did at the time. And then, I got tired of dealing with, all the misconceptions. I got exhausted. Plus the gear, I didn't really see up until Somerset. I didn't see really a lot of pro options. If I did a trial, I did it. If I wanted to do it, whatever. I didn't care. But for me, it was always about what? Gear progression. And because this isn't a linear game, it becomes the question of, do you want that set? That's the incentive for this game. The incentive for this game isn't about progressing with a gear level. Like in World of Warcraft, you have gear levels, right? There's a gear score. But in this game there's just not. So it's like, okay, well, what's incentivizing me to do this content? Is there like secret mounts or something like in WoW that has a chance to drop? We have motifs, and that's kind of incentive, which I really like. I'm a big motif junkie. I like the styles. So I thought they did really good there. It's like, okay, well, you don't want a set? Well, do you want the style? And I felt that did really good, especially in certain scenarios. Once again, it's always going to be what's the incentive to do the content, right? Because if it's not gear, it's got to be something else to motivate you. And for everybody, that's going to be different. That's going to be different across the board. It's going to be your preference, what you're into. But yeah, I was like, this is amazing. I bumped into this article at the time I needed it the most. At the time, matter of fact, there was somebody asked me about Sork healing, and so I did the video today. I'm like, yeah, I have a Sork healer. I can actually, go ahead and I'll put out some updated info on some of the basic things you want to look for in the toolkit, and into so basically, not to set like a assumption of what you have to have. Like I said, secondary set you can change. Primary set you want to try to keep the same. Why? Because it's beneficial. But secondary set you can change it. Weapon, monster set, all those things. It doesn't have to be dictated, especially by me. So I was like, yeah, man, this is going to be cool. I'm really going to dig on this, man. And I think that's what I got to do is I got to get back to my roots about what this game meant to me and what prompted me to become a a content creator. And that's any class can play any role. And there are different things that are overlooked. And that's what makes this game beautiful. It's what makes the game stunning. Run. But yeah, definitely really good timing. I thought it was amazing. I was like, how fortuitous. Because I was coming up something, I was like, I wonder if anybody's done this. And I just happened to bump into the article and I was like, oh, wow. Let's end this now. It's like fate almost. Like, you know what, Mystic? We get it. You're dealing with a lot, right? But you've always had the good fight, so don't give up. And I was like, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. That's what I need to hear right now. More than anything, this is what I needed. I really needed this. Use it to protect you. Oh.
Two Blades, you're alive.
Stuck.
We arrived as soon as we could.
Thanks to our friends, not all was lost today.
Good stuff. But yes. Good stuff. And you know what? When anybody tells you, now this is what's going to be awesome. When they tell you, when you hear, only this class plays this role, or that class is the, or direct them to that article. Point them to my page. Say, go watch Mystic Raven. Do it. Because that's what we'll do. Any class, any role. Don't let other people define who you are. That's what makes this game so special. Right? It is. It's very special. It's a very, 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 very special product. And it needs to be, treated with care. It needs to be treated very, very carefully. Because I'll tell you, in a world that everything becomes so similar, and when you make everything, they're like, oh, there's, this game, is like this game or that game. Trust me, more and more I see games following the same pattern. There's nothing diverse in video games anymore. The vision of what a game is has been lost and diluted. This game, what makes it unique is the simple fact that it allows you to become something that you want to design, what you want to put forward, what you want, what you're willing to do to make it come to fruition. And that reminds me a lot about life, right? Sometimes we don't see our dreams fulfilled right away. You have to put in the work to make it happen, right? You have to put forth the effort to see it manifest. And in this game, it's the same principle. If you want to be that class in that role, you have to put in the work. And you can make it happen. As always, I'm Mr. Craven. This is Mystics MMOs. Any class, any role. This is ESO. Have a nice day.